We are live.
Yes.
Yet another Friday live. This time a little later than
Exactly.
usual, but always on time. Thank God. Welcome for joining us. If you're here live or maybe watching the replay, um, we're glad that you're joining us for these lives. And if
hmm
you have always, if you find any value in these hopefully that the camera is leveled, but if you find values in these videos, feel free to subscribe, hit the bell button also to get notifications when we go live.
hmm
Comment, share with us your thoughts. Today's live is going to be about self-reckoning.
Exactly.
Self-reckoning, and it's a really in preparation for a 7-day self-reckoning challenge
Which
that
starts this Sunday.
we're starting this Sunday. And when we say this Sunday, we mean June 7th.
Yes.
So in case depend when you're watching this, starting June 7th, Sunday, we're gonna have the kickoff call at 2 p.m. Eastern time. And this live really we just wanna dive in a little deeper about self-reckoning, about the challenge itself, maybe answer some questions, um, to kind of just paint
Yeah. A picture of
the
what
picture.
the challenge will be like.
Yeah,
Yeah.
awesome. So, what questions do we have that we're
Our
going to talk
first
about
question.
self-reckoning?
Okay. Our first question is, what is self-reckoning? How would you describe it?
What is self-reckoning? The way that I would describe that is to meet
hmm
yourself honestly,
I like that.
again and again.
Yeah.
Um, to reflect, to examine,
hmm
to inquire and question
hmm
about yourself,
Yes.
really, you know?
Agreed.
Um, that's what self-reckoning is to me, is the way, the tool, the path, the mechanism that allows me to face myself face to
hmm
face or meet myself face to face or go into that direction and also not only have it here
hmm
conceptualized or
hmm
have a level of understanding. This is kind of to the last video that we did about the different levels of knowledge, I guess,
hmm
right? But to have it be realized so that it's not only in understanding, but also in realization, so that my conduct and the way that I show up is actually true and levels up, is that how you say it? Or like, yeah, it's true to what I think I know
hmm
to be true within myself.
Yeah.
So it's kind of closing the gap between what I think myself to be and who I think myself to be or feel myself to be, and really in reality, how I show up and how that manifests in
Exactly.
reality. So self reckoning is kind of the boat, if you will,
hmm
that takes to
Yeah.
that way. What do you think?
I think, let's see, if I was to add something to that, I would say that, yeah, self reckoning is everything that he said. Um, in addition, in order to get to those things, we need to like polish the mirror of
Mm.
perception,
Mm-hmm.
the windshield of perception,
Mm-hmm.
something like that. Because, like for instance, sometimes my glasses get foggy, you know,
Yeah.
and I can't see, or they get oily or something,
Yeah.
and I have to clean them off in order to like
That's
get
a
a
good
clear
example.
view of
Yeah.
things. And so, part of self reckoning is also polishing the window of perception,
Yeah.
you know, so that when we ask ourselves these questions, we can get to a clearer or more honest answer, like he's
Mm-hmm.
saying, and that will allow this gap to close between um, what we think we know and how it's lived.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And it's so much about that polishing. Yeah. yeah.
Hmm.
I mean, we kind of spoke about it also in that video, in the last video, the last live that we did. So much in that polishing that mirror, and how we go about that polishing,
Exactly.
and how we meet ourselves, and in which attitude that we're coming, which attitude are we returning with
Hmm.
to meet ourselves and to
Yeah.
polish,
Yeah.
right? Because it is, or it can be, and a lot of times it is challenging,
Hmm.
and it is self-confronting,
Facts.
and in part of that confrontation is uncomfortableness that comes up, that we don't want to see the oil on the
Facts.
lenses, or the dirt that's on the mirror, or whatever it is, on the whatever that's blocking the perception. We don't want to see it.
Hmm.
We've been so used to seeing the world through that blurred vision that it becomes difficult to polish. So even to come to the table of polishing the attitude, there's so much into that,
Hmm.
and each person might have their own way, you know and coming to it with a loving, merciful, compassionate way, not to make it less than, not
Mhm.
to make it more acceptable. No, not acceptable, because acceptance is, it has to, that's pretty much rule number one, right?
Mhm.
The lens is dirty,
Mhm.
quote unquote. Not to confuse that with original sin. Oh, okay, I might go. You know what I mean? No, but to come to it with that compassion, to really meet it, accept it, and lovingly work on it.
Yeah. Mhm.
Lovingly work on it.
Mhm.
Just like somebody who wants to build something,
Yeah.
and coming at it lovingly, even though sometimes they might have to do something, bend something in such a way that might be so harsh,
Yeah.
but they're doing it lovingly,
Yeah.
it will bend,
Yeah. I totally agree. I think speaking of Ben, that makes me think of the idea from the Vedas. I can't remember where in the Vedas, but the one of my favorites, curving back on myself, I create again and again.
Mm-hmm.
I think that self-reckoning is also that curving back.
Mm-hmm.
What we're doing at night when we're looking at what we've done throughout the day,
Yeah.
but also whatever vehicle you use for transcendence,
Mm-hmm.
getting to the deeper sense of self, moving beyond the thought life
Mm-hmm.
into the source of where those thoughts emerge from. Coming back up out of that allows for a clearer perception when we do look at ourselves and our behaviors, and it expands the capacity for us to have the self-reckoning.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, 100%. And that's the thing. It's all of these different tools, quote unquote, that are happening within that self-reckoning, right? To polish the mirror, right? To sit down and reflect, to include both of these things, to be part of the day-to-day, while we're working, while we're doing the dishes, while we're driving, while we're doing all these things, to allow for that level of constant polishing to take place. So all of these different tools, between transcendence, whatever those tools are, meditations, breath, and the tools of journaling, quote unquote, or writing down, really confronting honestly.
Yeah.
Right? And then to allow these two tools, two mechanisms, or three, including the breath work, to have it be part of our day life, so that we can witness life from the perception that we're working on.
Is this the same thing as this idea that we're talking about? Is this the same thing you were telling me about the polishing of the heart? How does this relate to that in terms of from a Sufi perspective, right? Were you telling me something about?
Yeah, so it's similar. The polishing of the heart is kind of like the big arc,
Mm-hmm.
right? Of that's the big way, quote unquote,
Mm-hmm.
right? And all the all the tools are used for that polishing,
Mm-hmm.
right? So the transcendence,
Mm-hmm.
dhikr, to sit down and to do a practice that's a transcendental practice,
Mm-hmm.
meditation, dhikr, remembrance. Sometimes maybe breath work. Breath
Mm-hmm.
can be part of meditation in that way, or controlled breath. Um, these things are kind of working together with the writing down, the journaling, with the witnessing, in order to polish the heart.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the other component of polishing the heart, which is different for each person, is life.
In terms of what?
In terms of the moments in your life, what life is giving for you
Mm-hmm.
in that moment, and how you're meeting it, in order to how you're responding.
Mm-hmm.
So all of these tools are there in order to give us the mechanisms, or give us the space, to create space
I like that.
in
Mhm.
order to respond. The response is also polishing the heart,
I like that.
and
Okay.
how we're responding to that moment, right? Because that's what allows for the realization to settle,
Mhm.
for things to actually settle.
Yeah.
So it really is meeting that what we think we know and how we feel we know about ourselves in conduct.
Mhm.
And in conduct, the polishing is taking place. So it's not only happening in the bedroom when
Mhm.
somebody, or whatever, anywhere, when somebody's writing down and reflecting about their day.
Mhm.
That moment it's not happening in a vacuum. Polishing the heart is happening in life.
I got that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's one of the biggest values of to even do this course,
Right.
or to be transcending, or to do the work from the course, like self-accounting.
Yeah.
Is that, like, in those moments where we can really use some buffer or a gap, like if someone cuts us off when driving, and we
Mhm.
don't just flip out, there's a level of witnessing, a buffer of something that emerges that allows us to have a different possibility of choice,
Right.
rather than just an immediate reaction
Yes.
to that offense.
Yeah. Yeah. And it happens. The thing is, at night, when we do reflect, right, part of the muhasaba practice, part of the self-accounting practice, when we do reflect on the day backwards, right, from the moment that we're writing until the moment that we woke up
Mhm.
that morning, we get to see if we missed anything. We get to see how we responded. Which way did we respond? And hopefully seeing that, being able to clearly name it and see it,
Mhm.
will give us the chance next day to meet it again. And this time actually, quote unquote, do something about it.
Yeah.
And if it doesn't, no problem, next day. And if it
Mhm.
doesn't, no problem, next day. And if we're meeting that with that level of mercy and love and that compassion towards oneself throughout that process, then that change is going to be inspired from within in that moment. So
Mhm.
things are now start to be more clear, and then it's not just happening in a vacuum or just happening internally. I'm transcendent now, but it's there and in life,
In life.
in relation,
Mhm.
in relation. These
Gotcha.
things are happening in that way. But we do need the technique, quote unquote technique, or the tools. We do need these things in order to
Right.
create that space.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Next question. What if I already know my patterns? How's this still useful?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, that's pretty much that's a continuation of what we just said,
Yeah.
right? We see the patterns. I know it. but what does it, is it realized?
Yeah.
Does it come up into action? The opposite of that pattern, does it come up into action? Or does it just stay in the named conceptual understanding? I know it,
but not lived.
Or not lived. Well, not the pattern that's not lived. The what's not lived is the opposite of that pattern, right? So
the gap,
the gap.
ability to choose a different possibility.
Exactly. And I think that's most of the time what it is that we do know the pattern, but we don't have the gap to choose otherwise.
Exactly.
So we see it, and matter of fact, I mean, I don't know for you, but for myself, when I do see a pattern and I don't have the gap to do otherwise, it creates this level of frustration, right? Which is that's a never-ending loop. That's a dangerous loop, really, because that frustration will build into that pattern build into that frustration. So I think having a space, creating that space, enough of a gap, right? Even enough of a gap to say, I don't know, or enough of a gap to say, I'm gonna wait before making a decision, or enough of a gap, whatever that, sometimes it might take a while to even get to a position of say, I'm not gonna choose, right? Yet, but to also meet it with a level of that mercy, that compassion, that takes that frustration, that doesn't give that frustration much power, right? Or it can use that frustration or that energy to see it what it is and be like, okay, this can be loving in some way, and I can use that in order to create that space, but not from a space of like,
not shame,
not guilt, not coming from that finger, you did something wrong, which is it's an easy thing to fall into,
right? I'm thinking about like how the relationship of transcendence to self-accounting, and when I think of it, I'm thinking, and refine this if there's more to this. Transcendence is building one's capacity to have a gap, to have a moment. But the self-accounting that's done allows for you to do inventory of how to use that new capacity that you've created. Because oftentimes transcendence does produce ability to have more right action in and of its own. But if it's connected to something like intentional self-inventory, then there's more capacity or more ways to leverage that capacity.
Yes.
But if you do self-accounting without a practice of transcendence, could that leave you on the level of thought or shame or guilt? Because you know what to change. You can see from the self-accounting, from the list, but then how do you access the gap in order to create the new possibility? Could you say a little bit more about that?
That's why it's all, none of these tools exist in vacuum, right? So if I'm just doing transcendence, and then we talked about this in another live also, that someone can go into transcendence, but yet not change. There's gap, they see the gap, but there's really no change. It doesn't really come up to manifestation into conduct, right? Or it magnifies maybe something that's not even desirable, right? So there's that kind of, when it's done by itself, when it's just transcendence and it's like, oh, okay, naturally there's going to be good action that's going to come out of it.
Like, is that
maybe,
the case?
right? Like, is that really the case?
Or do you have to be more intentional about that?
Exactly. And the more intentional about that is self-accounting, right?
Yeah.
More intentional about that is, okay, am I am I living really what this gap is allowing me to see?
Yeah.
Am I living, if I'm experiencing this bliss, quote unquote, or whatever this experience of transcendence is, of oneness, right? How is that really showing up?
Mm-hmm.
Or is it only showing up when I'm meditating or when I'm doing dhikr and remembrance?
Mm-hmm.
And then I go to my job and I'm like avoidant, right?
Testy,
Testy, angry. But maybe sometimes with people maybe who meditate, maybe it's not testing, maybe sometimes, but sometimes it's the opposite of like
passive,
you know, complacent, avoiding conflict just because conflict is not good energy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, no.
Yeah,
So
that's not lived.
that, right? It's not lived. It's not. So that's on and say, but to be more intentional is to do that self-accounting.
Mm-hmm.
Am I living that? And then if I am, or if I'm not, then now there's a responsibility, quote unquote, right? It becomes a one's own responsibility to like, okay, am I giving this moment its proper due?
Mm-hmm.
Am I meeting the moment? Am I a child of that moment? In it, is it real, or is it avoidant of it? You know. So self-accounting comes in that way. Now, to the other point that you said, what if somebody does self-accounting only, right, without transcendence or that kind of tool? Then it can be rigid. Then now it's going to be filled with possibly guilt and shame, and it becomes mechanical and ever non-ending cycle in itself, because how they're viewing themselves is from a perception that's already covered up with the oil and the dirt and stuff like that. So now they're experiencing, one is experiencing themselves from that, you know, and in order to change, it becomes a very, maybe it can work, I don't really know, but maybe it can lead to somebody go into the direction of transcendence. But the experience of it, I can imagine it being rough, maybe rigid. The image of this kind of comes internal, judgmental. It adds more judgment. One is viewing that inventory with more judgment than, you know, so they're changing it because they're judging themselves and no, I want to change that. And then they go into that, but then it becomes the same, the other side of the same coin, you know? And I think maybe we also touched on this when, I don't know, maybe in the book club or something like that, when we were talking about somebody who says, I don't want to be like my parent. I don't want to be like my mother, or I don't want to be like my father. And because from a judgmental, right?
Yep.
And everything that you do is really the opposite, quote unquote, right? Their father or their mother did this, they do the complete opposite. But really, it's the same thing, it's just the other side. It's the same coin, it's just the other side. It's the same pattern, it's the same thing. But to that person, because the perception is not there, or not there, maybe the container is not wide enough or not clean enough, clear enough, they see it as completely different. But in reality, it's the same. It's just the opposite side. It's just sitting on the same ground.
I like that point, because ultimately, I think self-reckoning altogether, you know, transcendence, self-accounting, witnessing, altogether self-reckoning is a expansion of perception. And expansion of perception is synonymous with polishing the lens of perception.
Right.
You know, making it clearer and cleaner and more coherent. Because if you're looking at your actions through the days, and that action is enmeshed with all the meaning that we put onto it
Mhm.
in ourselves, we can't see the fact for the fact and then make a different choice.
Mhm.
It's completely saturated in the meaning that we give it, and that meaning could be colored by anything: shame, guilt, love, lust, anything.
Mhm.
But the ability to separate fact from the narrative we project onto it
Mhm.
allows for more, dare I say, honest
Mhm.
self-accounting,
Mhm.
so that
True.
the choice that can be made is not hijacked by shaming myself,
Right.
or giving myself some grandiose perspective that
Yeah.
is also a lie,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah. A lot of I think these practices are like, in some way, also keeping us in check.
Mm-hmm.
When I say in check, I mean like putting things in proper position.
Mm-hmm.
It's like going to a chiropractor. It's like getting aligned.
Exactly.
It's just getting. If I think I can lift, 500 pounds, and I can't, but I think I can, and go ahead and do it, I'm gonna hurt myself.
Exactly.
And if I think I can't lift a 5 pound, and I'm stopping myself from lifting it, I'm also hurting myself in some way.
Yeah.
So really, it's just being aligned, knowing the position, quote unquote, of where in the universe
The adjustment has
the
to be
adjustment
made.
is made. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah. Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. Question 3.
Mm-hmm.
What if I miss a day?
Oh, of the challenge.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's that. So that's the thing about, um, we're using the word challenge here, and we're using that. And in reality, it is a reflective of the commitment that we take, right? And reflective of life in general,
Mhm.
right? And this is where the non-judgmental aspect comes in.
Mm-hmm.
You miss a day, you miss a day. Okay, next, go to sleep. Next day, you're gonna wake up, do it then, have that intention. Part of it is the return. I mean, this is one thing we always talk about, the return.
Exactly.
Turning again. I know I was working on the PDF to be part of this challenge as well. And I think there's a day that's called the return or something like that. And
Yeah.
I know you wrote something about the Sufi name, or the Sufi concept of tawbah, which means to turn again towards God, or towards the beloved, or towards your higher self, or towards your most inner core being, part of your being, right? So if you miss a day, return.
Yeah.
That's it. Just return. It's kind of like doing meditation or mantra or dhikr or whatever.
Yeah.
Your mind wanders off, Allah, or the mantra, whatever it is. Your mind goes somewhere else, woof, return.
Exactly.
It goes, you miss a day, return. You know what I mean? Like,
exactly.
I know it sounds simple, and I know sometimes we want to give more emotion to it than it actually is. And that emotion, if it comes up, is true. So even sit with that emotion.
Exactly.
Next day, write about that emotion. Examine that emotion. Did guilt come up? Did shame come up when you missed a day? If I miss a day working out, what comes up? What comes up?
Yeah.
Do I return the next day, or do I say, I messed up now, never gonna work out again? Or do I say, okay, thank you, my beloved, give me another day? It's just like, I know it's not all this attitude. I know for me is sometimes hard to stay in that attitude, right? And yet being in situations or in systems or in containers that point towards that return, always, go back, go back. And then when that relationship with yourself deepens, now the quality of that return is softer.
Yeah.
Like it really is like a parent to a child.
Mm-hmm.
It
I love
just
this.
rebuilds the relationship.
About this question, it brings up something else for me that I think might be relevant for this. So while everything you were saying is absolutely orientation we want to come from when dealing with ourselves and with missing a day, I think that the course starts, yes, on Sunday, but also the moment you decide inside yourself, I'm doing this.
Mm-hmm.
Because at that moment, things are going to come up in life that
Facts.
say, you have this to do, you have that to do. But if you've already decided I'm doing this, that's when the course starts.
Mm-hmm.
When those first things come in your direction after you've already made the choice to say you can't complete this, you won't complete this.
Right.
And I'm not saying you have to fight against that. I'm saying, like you said, just be aware of it. What comes up the moment you make the choice.
Yeah.
Even if it's 2 days before we start the course,
Yeah.
stuff will start to show up. And we'll have to ask ourselves, what does integrity look like?
Yeah.
What does authenticity look like? What does self-expression look like? How do
Mm-hmm.
I stay true to my word to myself that I'm going to do this?
Mm-hmm.
Or what comes up for me not to do that?
Yeah.
Like all of these kind of things are a part of this because they're acting as a reflective mirror for us to see exactly how we're engaging with reality, how we're engaging with our word, with ourself.
Mm-hmm.
The course starts, yes, on Sunday, the June
Yeah.
7th,
The challenge.
the challenge, but it ultimately starts the moment you decide to do it.
I love it.
Because that's when things will come up to challenge your
Yeah.
word, to challenge your relationship with yourself,
Yeah.
to challenge your relationship with reality,
Mm-hmm.
and it will be the same things. There's this quote that someone said, the way you do one thing is the way you do everything. I don't know how true that is, but it's useful as an analogy.
Yeah.
The same things that will come up against your word once you decide to do this are the same kind of things that will come up in any other area of your life
Mm-hmm.
when you decide to give your word to something. And you have to really get clear about, well, where does my integrity sit? Where does my relationship to my own word sit?
Yeah.
And it's not to shame or judge yourself. Hopefully it's to inspire,
Mm-hmm.
To have a clear view of the things that come up that keep me from being my word to myself.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because ultimately that's what this is about, polishing the lens of perception, so we can make a choice from greater possibility.
Which is, I love you brought that up. And that's the thing that makes it quote unquote a challenge.
Mm-hmm.
Even when we say 7-day challenge, I mean we're using that as a challenge, meaning like, okay, let's in order to build a habit or some kind of a thing.
Mm-hmm.
But self-reckoning itself, there is a challenge in it, right? And that's the challenge. That's part of that challenge. Part of the challenge is also when the day is rough and having to look back through it.
Exactly.
When in the middle of the day that you missed something or avoided something and now having to go back through it, which reminds me of the Sermon on the Mount, when Jesus, there's part of it, I'm gonna butcher it here, so forgive me, but there's part that says, when he says, before you go to the temple and pray, go reconcile with your brother. Go do that.
Yeah.
And then go pray. Right? That's self-reckoning.
Yeah.
That's self-reckoning. Matter of fact, just read the Sermon on the Mount. That's the whole thing. No, but like that in itself, which is a challenge. I want to go meditate. Nice. Go reckon with your brother.
Yeah.
Go. That's meditation.
Yeah.
That's life.
The work.
That's the work. Go reckon with your brother. Go concile that.
Yes.
So it's like that's the challenge that's in it. Not that it's not this and that. It's like do this and that.
Exactly.
And that the commitment is towards that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Beautifully expressed. Okay, last question. what would success look like after the 7 days? I guess you just kind of said that, but if you could go further into it,
Yeah.
how would it look like after the 7 days? Success.
I think success after the 7-day self-reckoning challenge would look like, number one, maybe getting a taste of that gap,
Mm-hmm.
right? And number two, also the taste and the sweetness of meeting oneself.
I like that. Yeah.
Even when it's tough, when it's all that, there's a sweetness. This is why a lot of the Sufis talk about taste.
Mm-hmm.
Once you taste that sweetness, that's it, right? It's gonna have you say, I'm gonna go reckon and do the hard thing and then meditate. It's gonna have you do that thing because now you've tasted.
Mm-hmm.
So God willing, after the 7 days, maybe a taste of that kind of will spark that flame internally and create that space in order to be able to respond.
Mm-hmm.
And again, maybe not fully, but the beginning steps of it. Again, it's 7 days, right? But within those 7 days, we're walking through different moments or different things to focus on that will hopefully allow for a more holistic view of walking this life that will allow us to say, yeah, this is real life is the work.
Exactly.
To do these things is the work. And meditation are tools to aid for that.
Exactly.
Right? To aid for that. And this is, man, I'm going into scripture today, but like from the scripture of the Quran, it's like there's a word that says "Ista'inu bis-sabr was-salah." To prayer and passion and patience are tools.
Mm-hmm.
Lean on that.
Mm-hmm.
For what? For walking the straight path.
Mm-hmm.
That to reconcile, to do these things, that's the work.
Yeah.
What can help you? What can aid you? Prayer, meditation, patience. Lean on that while you're doing that work.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So it's like success after that it would hopefully allow for that level of engagement with oneself, to taste the sweetness of facing oneself, or at least walking that path, or at least dipping into that sweetness, just maybe a finger, just a little bit like that, because that's enough.
Yeah.
That's enough to allow for a deeper dive.
Yeah.
And hopefully, kind of like that commitment that you talked about, a more real commitment towards the person finishing it, a commitment internally, like this is what I'm doing in life. This is the orientation of which I'm returning back to again and again, myself.
I like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
What about for you? How do you see that?
What would success look like after the 7 days? Oh. Yeah, I think after 7 days, I think success would be like, now this person has tools to orient themselves in their life that they can keep coming back to even after the 7 days.
Yeah.
To have a tool to come back to. I know a lot of us, to take time away from whatever we got going on, even if it's just watching some streaming service or something, or getting lost, distracting ourselves from our inner world in some sort of streaming service or work or whatever it is, but to take time to be with ourselves and see what's going on in our inner world, to write down what's happening to us throughout the day and see how it synchronizes with what my internal world is doing and saying. And if something is off, being able to like really look at that, to develop a practice of looking at the symmetry between my inner and outer world and see what's off, what's in alignment, what do I need to tune up, to develop some sort of rhythm in that and see how the benefits of that play out in our life. So those tools
Mm.
after the 7 days and the orientation coming from the information we give around uh, more honestly diving into using those tools
Mhm.
and the prompts and things like that that help us look toward ourselves can be used afterwards for anything we have going on. I think the other thing that would be a success to me that you get after the 7 days is, I think you mentioned the spiral earlier, and
Mm.
I think it's like that. You know how you first start something and as you're in maybe a bit of the shallow end.
Mhm.
Sometimes it's like that when we start to curve in on ourselves. It's real shallow, but we can see some things, maybe some anger here, something I did here. But I think as the practice continues throughout the day, you spiral a little bit deeper
Uh-huh.
into your relationship with yourself and your relationship with your word, your relationship with your transcendence or
Yes,
dhikr
yes.
practice or
Yeah.
meditation with it, or your breathing techniques. The physiology begins to remember what that diving or sinking into itself feels
Yeah.
like. The mind begins to orient itself to curving inward
Mhm.
and starts to crave it,
Mhm.
um, to have this time alone, to pour out on a paper, you
Mhm.
know, whether the answers from what's happening in your inner world or just specific facts about what happened during your day.
Yeah.
There begins, like you said, the taste.
Yeah.
After you taste it, you know that you can show up for yourself a little bit more, a little bit
Mhm.
deeper.
Mhm.
You know, your capacity expands a little bit more. You
Yeah.
know, I
Yeah.
think this is the goal. If you're able to just taste, like you said, a little bit of yourself in a deeper way,
Mhm.
I think that would be success.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
agree. That's beautiful. Yeah, this whole thing of observation, that
Mhm.
self-observation, the self-witnessing, that
Yeah.
self-remember, all of these things that you're
Mhm.
you know
Mhm.
bringing about as being just the beginning and having that as tools.
Yeah.
That's the things like having the tools and then the taste and then using the tools to walk,
Yeah. Mhm.
and having the taste be the magnet
Yeah.
that makes us to say, okay, tomorrow
Yeah.
again,
Yeah.
the day after
Exactly.
that again, and then it becomes more and more part of
Mhm.
our life.
Yeah. And
No.
one more thing I'll say too, because the whole course is open at one time.
Mhm.
If you can, don't go through all the days at one time or the next day before that day shows
Uh-uh.
up. Stay on the day that you're on and let the information from that day sink in.
Mhm.
Let the experience from what you write in your own manuscript sink in.
Yeah.
Don't move ahead of it.
Yeah. It really is funny. It's such a funny thing because the mind or the brain wants to do that sometimes. But that's the thing. I can never do self-accounting for tomorrow.
Facts.
It's only today.
Facts.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like it's only I can never self-observe tomorrow
Yeah.
or whatever, all these things. I can only do it for today.
Mhm.
I can only look back and observe in that moment.
Yeah.
So the mind wants to jump ahead. It
Mhm.
wants to see, where am I going really?
Yeah.
And you can see, you can look. I mean,
Yeah.
but it ain't gonna. It's really not gonna do anything.
Exactly.
Really not gonna do so. Um, it'll be something like trying to watch a series, all episodes
Yeah.
all at the same time, and it's
Yeah.
like it will lose
Yeah.
something in it. And I think this is what you're
Exactly.
pointing to.
Exactly. They used to tell us when we were learning transcendental meditation during the first course that the next day's knowledge is given based on the prior day's experience
Right.
of the practice.
Right.
And that allows for, as knowledge increases, the capacity to hold knowledge and use it increases.
Right.
It's cumulative effect,
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. 100%. 100%. So jumping ahead, we might like to think that we can, and then it just doesn't work. It
Exactly.
doesn't.
Yeah.
So I love that you mentioned that. Yeah, so 7-day challenge. This was a quick live. 7-day challenge is happening the kickoff call is happening on Sunday, 2 p.m. Eastern time.
Mm-hmm.
But we're starting as a group together. If you can't make it to that call, no biggie, no worries. But even being part of the community as we're all going through it, we're going to have another call on Wednesday, which is midweek.
Mm-hmm.
And then the last call on Saturday to kind of tie everything together.
Exactly.
I'm just gonna read through the different
Mm-hmm.
days, what kind of we're touching on within the challenge itself. We're gonna
Mm-hmm.
talk about obviously how the challenge works. We're gonna talk about how to create some type of a ritual
Mm-hmm.
around that practice, right? In order to come to it so that your nervous system knows that you're entering the space, so that you can allow yourself to really meet yourself honestly
Mm-hmm.
for that day or for that moment when you're doing muhasabah, when you're doing self-accounting, when you're doing the self-reckoning as a broader example. And then day one, we'll talk about recognition and what that means when it comes to
Mm-hmm.
self-observation, regulation.
Mm-hmm.
How does the body feel within this whole aspect of it? Reflection, also reflecting back, right?
Mm-hmm.
This curbing back, as you
Mm-hmm.
said. Return, right? This is midweek, like kind of going, kind of like when you said, miss the day.
Mm-hmm.
What happens? This attitude of I will meet myself
Exactly.
again and again and
Mm-hmm.
again and again. And then which goes into deepening, right? Deepening that
Yep.
practice, deepening once you have that taste, even just for a few days, once you have that taste, you want to go deeper,
Mm-hmm.
There's a Sufi saying that says, like, when you in the beginning, you taste it in your finger,
Mm-hmm.
then honey. Let's talk
Mhm.
about honey. And then once you taste it, you put a handful. And then once you taste that, you put your whole arm in. And once you taste that, you just go into that honey. Like,
Mhm.
there's no stopping. So that's kind of like the deepening aspect of it. Like,
Mhm.
once you start to crave yourself, you
Yeah.
fall deeper and deeper in love with yourself. And then integration and what that means when it comes to the practice itself, and ending with commitment,
Mhm.
which is pretty much what you said about really the practice itself starts in your commitment,
Yeah.
right?
Exactly.
And pretty much that's the challenge, and these are the topics that we're going through. We also created a journal that goes with it. It makes it easier to do it. There's a printable
Mhm.
version and a digital version
That you can type into.
that you can type in depending on how you like. Or if you have your own journal, sometimes I like that too. I have my own, handy dandy little paper stuff, so
Mhm.
you can use that as well. And if you have any questions as far as how to really engage, what to sign up, you can just look up the link in the description in this video below, and it will lead you to our community, the school community, and you can join for free. And hopefully we'll see you, and you can ask us any questions over there, and we'll see you on the other side, God willing.
See ya.
Yeah.